Now in this technical demonstration, we're going to add the human element to the approval process. And that's going to be in the form of workflow. So we've established multi-factor authentication for our accounts, for checkout, and we've also applied MFA to our systems for secure remote login. But what if a user doesn't have access to either one of those and needs access to those systems? Well, in order to do that, we can simply provide explicit permissions or privilege to the user, or we can set up a workflow process. So let's start by configuring workflow for privileged accounts. So let's start by going over to Resources, and we'll go over to Systems, and we're going to work with the app server once again. Now, let's go ahead and check our permissions. As you can see here, we have privileged access administrators who have access and privileged access power users. But aside from our security group, which is a system admin, and the system admin group itself, no one else has permissions to use this particular server. So let's change that. We're going to go ahead and add our privileged access users to this server. So let's go ahead and click Add. Now this is not an Active Directory group. It's not a specific Centrify group. This is a role that we created earlier. And the one we're going to use is the Privileged Access Service user, which again means we have to explicitly grant permissions or privilege to this group in order for them to use resources within the portal. So we'll go ahead and click Add, and as you can see here, they only have the ability to view at this point. So now we'll go ahead and click Save. So now they can see the system, but they need to be able to use the Omicron-A account. So let's go over to Accounts, and we'll select the Omicron-A account. And as you can see here, while they may have access to see the system, they don't have access to use this particular account, which means they would have to supply an account that is on that system or a domain account that gives them privilege to use this system. So let's go ahead and grant permissions to the Omicron-A account. So we'll go and click Add, and once again we'll use the privileged access user role. And we'll click Add. Now in this case, they need to be able to see the account, so that's the view permission. But when we save this, we also have to make one additional change, and that is for workflow. So let's go over to workflow. And we're going to enable account workflow, and we're going to add an approver list. So I can use the requester's manager if it's listed within the Centrify directory service properties of the user or in Active Directory for that user, or I can specify a user or role. So that's what we're going to do here. And we'll go ahead and click Add. And everything's going to filter through Alex Foster. So we're going to go ahead and add Alex Foster as our approver. And we'll click Add. And we'll go ahead and click Save. So now let's go ahead and log in as Kim Rogers, who's a member of the finance team and a privileged access service user. So once again, we'll open up a different browser. We'll go back to our portal and we'll log in as Kim Rogers. Now, before we actually try to use the account information, we want to make sure that those security questions have been set up, because remember, we've also applied multi-factor authentication. So let's go ahead and do that now. So we'll go ahead and choose the first question. This will be sport, and this will be... Next, we'll choose our favorite color. And finally, we'll add in a custom question. And we'll click Save. So now the security questions have been satisfied. Again, if there was a different authentication profile challenge, that is going to be used. It would also have to be set up. But security questions is what we're using, so let's go ahead and proceed. Let's go over to the systems. As you can see here, now Kim Rogers has access to see the app server. Earlier, in a previous technical demonstration, she was only able to see the domain controller because it was part of a set that we granted permissions to Kim to be able to view. Now, if I right-click on App Server, I can go through the process of logging in. But if I go ahead and open up the App Server and I go to Accounts and I want to use this particular account, you'll notice I can go ahead and go through the checkout process, but I can also go through the request login process. Remember, we gave Kim the ability to check out the password. We didn't give her the ability to log in. So what happens when we request the login? Now we have to provide a reason for this login. Why does Kim need access? So she gives us a reason. The assignment type can be windowed or permanent, and she can provide us the time frame in which she needs access. So we'll go ahead and submit this. Now, this doesn't automatically give her access. She can come down to her request, and as you can see here, here's her request, where she can now view the information, but it's still sitting in a pending status. Let's go back over to the other browser where Alex Foster, the approver, is logged in, and let's go over to requests, and there's the request that Kim had submitted. Now I can go in and review it, and I can approve or reject it. So now if I go ahead and approve it, I can go ahead and approve it for this time period. We'll go ahead and click submit, and now it's approved. Now the request does not go away. It now shows up as an approved request. This will be good for record keeping. You can always go back and delete them later. Let's now go back over to Kim Rogers and let's reload her rights or refresh the page. Now it shows as approved. Let's go back over to the systems, open up the app server, right click on the Omicron A, and now I do have the ability to log in, at which point it will prompt me for multi-factor authentication. Why? Because we set that up earlier for this particular server. So not only does Kim need to request access to use this system, she also has to provide multi-factor authentication in order to verify who she is.